What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. And we have got some breaking news stories for you lot today. The Sancho ultimatum. What decision are Man United going to make on the manager and the player? Luke Shaw's chance at the Euros along with Harry Maguire. Are they both going to go? Are they both going to feature? Casemiro expected to leave to go to Saudi Arabia and a big price tag being put on his head, which I'm very curious about. And we've also got some quotes from Cesc Fabregas slamming, the way United work and certain things over there, which we'll get into towards the end. But first and foremost, have we had a nice break, Sam?
Yeah, been good. Been a bit messy. Lots of activities, but fun times. Jumped in a lake yesterday. Never been so cold in my entire life.
Takes your breath away, doesn't it?
But fun. Got to kayak, shoot guns, fire arrows. It's been a good week. It's going to be a good weekend, man. Enjoying it.
When you say shoot guns, do you mean actual guns?
Yeah. Clay pigeon shooting with shotgun.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
By the way, people who think they could just pick a gun up and just do that, the kickback on a gun.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Well, especially a shotgun. Look at now.
Yeah. You put it in here, in your shoulder, and then you have the butt in your cheek. You like this, so when it kicks, you're basically just getting punched in the face.
Oh, my God.
Punched in the shoulder, so...
Yeah, I bet physically you're all over the place. Because kayaking, I know kayaking, your legs, your legs and your back. Oh my God,
twisting like this.
Yeah, and your legs are straight like that for half an hour, and you're like, oh my God, yeah.
The problem is, you go because I don't. Anybody been to the Lake District? The lakes are massive. So if you go all the way across, and you're like, oh, this is pretty good, and then you look, and you're like, oh, I've got to go all the way back.
Yeah.
To go back there, and I've just covered that is. Yeah, but fun, man. I really enjoying it, and I'm here for another week, so
good stuff.
Let's go.
I had a bad kayaking experience, but I'll maybe save that for an after dark or something when we get into it. Right, so Sancho's in deep water at the moment. See what I did there? He's given an ultimatum. Jaden Sancho's ready to go back to Manchester United, but only if Erik Ten Hag leaves this summer. That's according to John Cross from the Mirror. Borussia Dortmund would like to sign Jaden Sancho on a permanent transfer, but cannot afford to pay United's asking price of in excess of £50 million. Sancho is also reluctant to give up on his United career and still has an ambition to make it work at Old Trafford. Now, that's all well and good, Sam, but we know Dortmund can't afford his wages, so how the fuck do you get past this if United? It's a bit of a, what do you call it, mind-boggling situation, isn't it?
Well, if Dortmund want him, they're going to have to pay, aren't they? It's that simple. You want the player, you pay for the player. We're not going to... This can't be another United where we accept fuck all prices for players that we're trying to sell just because we're so desperate to sell. As far as I'm concerned, if Ten Hag stays, then he's just got to lay in the bed that he's made, hasn't he? He don't want to apologise. We saw that report a couple of days ago where he was saying... from Benny McCarthy, where he's saying he felt like if he apologised, it would admit that he's lazy and he's not a hard worker. So he's not going to back down. So if he does come back to United and Dortmund not willing to pay the money and nobody else is willing to pay his wages and he doesn't want to take a wage cut from the sounds of it, then it's down on him, isn't it? If you want to move that badly, take a wage cut. And then you can go. And then the Dortmund will be able to afford your fee and you can leave. But the ball's in his court, really. If we get the money for him, he can go. But if we don't, then he stays.
Well, that kind of leads into my question in a sense. So who do you think the pressure is more on in this situation? Man United, Sancho, or Dortmund?
I don't think there's... I think if Sancho wants to leave, it's on him. But I think if you look at United, we've got him we signed him on a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 years left, maybe.
Yeah. So we signed him during the Super League kind of thing, debacle with Ronaldo and Varane. So I would guess it's 2026 probably.
Yeah. So we've got time. We don't have to sell him this season. We could sell him next summer and he still have a year left. So we've got time. And I'm sure there's a +1 in there as well, so you can even activate that if you wanted to. So it's not on us. And if he doesn't want to go or take a wage cut, you just put him in the reserves. Fergie used to do that all the time, so I don't see what it is, especially if Ten Hag stays.
But then that's where politics gets involved. Sorry to cut you there. It's where politics gets involved in terms of the hierarchy at the club, because they're going to say, look, Erik, if he's still there, we spent £70-odd million on this player. We need to retain his value.
It's not Ineos's player, though, is it? They didn't buy him. So I think they're less attached to it. I think had this been Woodward, Murta, and all that, they probably would have been like, look, you're gonna have to play him because we paid X amount for him. Ineos were clear that they wanted him as an undisrupted thing because he went on loan in the first place because they were like, we need to get this kid out. Same with Mason Greenwood. So I'd assume it's going to be the same way. They're just going to be like, look, you pay the money for him or he stays. And eventually, either he does stay and he plays the reserves, or he apologises and comes back into the team, or Sancho somehow, Dortmund somehow find the money, or somebody else finds the money and they buy him. Or we work out a loan where he goes on loan again, but it's an obligation to buy. Something like that. I'm sure there can be a deal worked out. While Ten Hag's there, I don't see him playing for in the first team again.
Well, we've seen stranger things happen in football, I suppose, in that sense. Like we have seen huge rivalries and arguments and people come together, and that was kind of the final one on this section. I was going to say, do you see a world where they reunite? But you kind of just answered that. But in a sense, it's going to almost have to happen with all the circumstances that are given. So that's why I'm saying, along with, we always say we don't envy Ineos going into the summer. This is another layered problem in it on top of the amount of shit that they've got to deal with already. So the best solution out of this, whatever corner angle you look at it from, is a sale. But it's the wages again that are killing us. We can never ever sell players, can we? Because of stupid fucking wages. Ridiculous.
We've done this since post Fergie. Like I think it might have happened under Fergie, but I think we got value for the wage for the players that we got. I think they'd have performed to the wage that we were paying them in relativity. But since then, it's like, what was Alexis Sanchez? What was it, 400 grand a week?
500 grand a week.
500 grand a week. What was the point of that?
And useless. Then we paid Inter, didn't we? For the
yeah, fucking useless, absolutely useless. You've had Sancho, and then we've bumped up after a year. We've bumped Rashford's deal up to 375k a week. Why? He had one good season.
Look at Casemiro's wage now as well.
Like, Casemiro's, Varane's gone, obviously. Martial's gone now. His wage was insane. Like, it's been a history of United, like, in the last 10, 15 years of just, like, overpaying wages and overpaying for players. And it has to stop now. Like, it has to stop now because look where we are. We're in a financial quandary where we've got rumored to be 100 million and we have to sell people, which traditionally we are not good at. And we have to get wages off books, which is difficult to do as it is because, like you said, to get the wages off the books, you have to sell the player, but nobody's going to buy the player with the wages that he's on. So you're just sort of stuck in this mess. So it might have to come to like where you just sort of cut your ties, where you do like a mutual termination. You just pay the player off just to get the wages off. Like I could see that happening, but yeah, it's a difficult situation and you just find themselves in, and it's not their fault. But this is what happens when you take over a club that's been in a mess like United. Like you have to solve these issues.
As you know, I was discussing Bruno yesterday and that whole situation. That's another difficult one where you look at, well, how much do you pay Bruno? He's your captain, he's your best player. Do you then bump that deal up to 300k? Is that going to be suffice for him? Because say, well, Rashford's on 375k.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's a difficult situation to deal with, isn't it?
I think you need to have some sort of wage cap, don't you? You need to have like cap where it's like it doesn't go above or beyond this, and to reach this cap, you have to be 2-3 seasons consistently performing, and one of our most integral players. Like that's how you get to this wage. You don't get this wage after one good season. You don't get this wage just because you're a big time player and you're signing in from another club. You don't get it. And if people don't want to come for it, then they weren't the right players in the first place. You don't want players coming mercenary wages just earning the book and then they can sod off to Saudi Arabia or America or wherever. You want players coming here who want to play, who want to build something, who want to earn trophies. And yeah, you might not attract the stars, but I think that's been our whole issue in the past is like we've bought stars and then expected to win, and it's not worked, as you can see. So we need to rebuild the team, similar to how maybe Chelsea are doing it. Young players might take them a couple of years, but they will get there at some point. It will pay off. Arsenal, the same way, buying. They've spent like big money here and there, but for the most part, 35 million, 40 million here. Liverpool, same way, but then there's been a couple of big time signings. So that's how you got to mix it. We've just gone money, wages, wages. And now we're in a fucking mess of affairs. So yeah, needs to change, man. Needs to change.
I think Arsenal have done it correctly. Like you referenced, I think you look at their wage structure. I think the highest paid player is 250, and that's Kai Havertz. But I know Ødegaard's on like 200, Saliba's on less than 200, and he's one of the best centre-backs in the league. You know, Saka's not on loads either. So, and their whole structure is just, I think it's capped at 250 or at least close to that. So that's much more financially, you get much more longevity financially out of that when you do offer them sort of contracts. And obviously there's going to be competitive ones being thrown out there, but ultimately, if you're successful as a club, why would they want to leave in the first place? So that's why, again, United kind of find themselves offering these big contracts, because that was their only play in it, in a sense, when they're doing negotiating. It's like, why would a player want to join? And you go, we'll give you £350,000 a week, and they're like, 5 years.
All right.
Casemiro, Varane, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
You
so
can
that's
make
why.
it. You can make it incentive based as well, though. Like if players want big money, I want this, and you could be like, right, come to United. This is your base wage.
Yeah.
But if you score this amount of goals, if you win this trophy, if you finish in this league position, or if you hit these certain targets, we'll give you a bonus at the end. And then that incentivizes them to go, well, if I want the money, I have to perform, or the team has to perform. And then that's how you do it. Because then if you just say, look, this is all you're getting and nothing else, then obviously people are going to be a bit iffy about it. But I think if you have it incentive based, like most companies are, like if you do well at your company, like you get a raise or you get a promotion or you get bonuses. I think that's how you got to do it. It's like, this is your basic wage week in. And then if you hit certain targets or certain goals or certain achievements, you'll get bonuses or you'll get add-ons and stuff. And I think you could structure it that way. And then it's a bit easier on the bank accounts, because if you are having a shit season, you're not still forking out 350k a week on wages when the team's being shit.
I mean, you've seen Ineos already making cuts to staff that are there, so I can't imagine what they're going to do to the wage structure, or attempt to do, should I say. Right, I'm going to get to the comments section because there's quite a few views. Do smash a like on the video for us if you can. We're on 5,269 subs at the moment, so we are 31 off 5,300. If there is anyone new in the chat, please do hit that subscribe button. Right, let's get into him. Edgar, sorry, pronouncing him wrong. He says, no, the player needs to go. If he was actually brilliant at Dortmund, I'd understand keeping him. Yeah, I do think it's been all-regged, that pudding, hasn't it, Sam? The Sancho saying, like...
One good game in the Champions League. Like.
A couple at a push, like, it's, yeah. I bet there was so many people who, you know, like the player FCs who had so many drafts saved, didn't they, about Sancho, if he won it, and he was like, haha, 10, like, blah, blah, blah.
We still get Ronaldo FC in our comments, for fuck's sake. He's been gone like an entire season. Like,
yeah.
Let it go, man.
Richard's saying, Sam, you back off gardening leave?
No, technically no, but I'm still here. Yeah. I'm working on holiday. I know there's work from home. I'm working on holiday.
Yeah, best of both worlds, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Don't want Sancho back. The Casemiro story is rubbish. We'll never get 70 mil for him. Keep that thought in mind. We're going to get into that shortly. Joe Jordan, 10 HAG all day long. No player is bigger than the club. Yes, absolutely love that. Stephanie Griffith, hello Steph, hope you're well. Saying wage war on wages. Apparently, I love that. Random guys gifted a membership. What an absolute legend. He must have gifted about 5 or 6 memberships so far. Top legend. And Mike Scully was the recipient of that. So I hope you enjoy the membership. Like I said to you yesterday, we've got a video dropping, 115 charges. It's been filmed. It's currently in the process of being edited, and then that's going to be put out for you at some point this week, so keep an eye on that. And random guys also saying welcome to the community. Ed Barrett saying we shouldn't be paying UCL money unless we're in the UCL. Low basics with high bonuses is the way forward. I agree. Incentives, you know, certain bonuses if you win certain trophies. Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Would you agree with that, Sam?
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. Like, make it incentive based. If you perform well, you get paid more. If you perform shit, you just get your basic wage and keep the basic wages to like a cap and a minimum.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, Steph's saying breach of contract needs to be added to all existing contracts, discipline. Yeah, I think they'll be working on that, all those kind of things now. So we'll move on from the Jaden Sancho discussion, and we'll move it slightly towards the Euros, which Sancho is almost definitely not going to go to. But Luke Shaw has a good chance, according to Gareth Southgate. He's been talking to TalkSport and a couple of other media outlets, and he's saying there's still a bit to do before he can get on the pitch in a game situation. But we're really pleased with the work he's doing with our physical performance team and our medics, so he's in with a good chance now. Now, 2 weeks ago, they were saying, I'm not sure, touch and go with both Maguire and Luke Shaw. But what are your expectations, Sam, of the United players heading to the Euros? We assume it's going to be Mainu, Shaw, Maguire, right? So what are your expectations of them from a tournament? Do you think they're going to have a good one? And also, do you think Rashford could maybe sneak in?
I don't see Rashford getting in personally. I think we'll probably resign to unless there's like an absolute dearth of injuries on the left hand side or in the striker position. I don't see it. Like you've got Gordon, you've got Saka, you've got Cole Palmer can play there. Like you've got a lot of Foden can play there. Like
Yeah.
I think unless you lose a load of them, I don't see it. Which is probably the best for Marcus actually. Like he's had a long season. Clearly something's gone outside of football. I don't know what it is, but he's clearly not right. He's played constantly since like 3 years ago, so I think he probably needs a break mentally and physically, which might work out well for United next season. He might come back refreshed and feeling good, so that'd be good for him. Maguire always plays well for England, doesn't he? He's always reliable, depending, especially in the setup that Southgate has. Like it's a pragmatic setup. It's not a high line, high press setup where you see Maguire's flaws exposed. He does what he needs to do and what he's good at. He gets his head on things, clear things out, and then can progress out with the ball and get passes out. Like that's what he's good at, and then that's what he'll stick to. And I imagine he'll have a really good tournament. Sure, I don't know why we're risking him as a United fan personally. Like why are we taking him? Let him have the rehab, let him recover, let him take a break and be 100% ready for the Premier League season next year. And we could have a Luke Shaw who's fit all season rather than 40% of games. But he loves to play for his country and he's going to do everything he can in his power to make sure he does, which is his prerogative, I guess. So yeah, I'd prefer that he didn't go. The same with Rashford, but if Southgate wants to go and and Shaw wants to go, it's not much he can do really as a United fan.
What are you expecting from Mainu? Do you think he's gonna? Do you think he's gonna light it up? Do you think obviously there's a lot of eyeballs on him at the moment, isn't there? With United and rightfully so because of the way he's been performing. But do you think it'll take him to that kind of next level if he really performs with England?
I don't know. I'm really unsure if he's going to start. Start back under Southgate. I don't know if he's going to start him. I would like him to. I'd love him to start. I think a midfield of Rice, Mainu, and Bellingham is a hell of a midfield. I don't think there's many I think it may even be better than France's midfield at this point. Like I think it's unrivaled in that capacity. So I think I would love him to start, but I don't know if Southgate chucks him in straight away in that first game against Serbia. Maybe you see something a bit more pragmatic. Maybe you see like Conor Gallagher in there. I think because he's very industrious, isn't he? Conor Gallagher. He sort of like gets about the pitch and breaks stuff up.
Seems
and
like
stuff
a
like that.
Southgate kind of player, doesn't he? In that sense, like he loved Mason Mount, didn't he?
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. He's the new Mason Mount, isn't he? Like he's not great at one single thing, but he's all right and decent at a lot of stuff. So I could see the starting lineup being Gallagher, Rice, and Bellingham in my head. If he puts Manu in there, then I'm all behind it. And I hope he gets games. I hope he gets to start games, and I hope he gets to play a lot because I think it'd be great for him in his development and stuff like that. And he deserves it because he's had a fantastic season. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with Manu. I can't call whether he's going to start or not. I'd love him to, but I've got a feeling it might be Gallagher.
I've seen a lot of people in the comments section whenever we've put stuff out about Cobby, whether it's a news story, reel, or TikTok, or whatever it is, and they're all saying, don't put too much pressure on the kid. You know, we don't even need to start the Euros and blah, blah, blah. But if you know him like we know him and we've watched him, the kid don't feel pressure. He never, ever seems phased. Ever.
No.
So even if he did start against Serbia in the first game, it just wouldn't worry me at all because he just absolutely glides like in any situation. If you can handle Galatasaray, Anfield, and Goodison Park in your first couple of weeks in the team, I'm pretty sure you can handle the Euros. I'd be pretty confident in that.
There was a guy who's arguing in that, and check this out. There's a guy arguing in our comments that Scott McTominay was a better midfielder than Kobbie Mainoo in United.
Oh, he's trolling.
I was like, based on what? He was like, well, he's completed more passes. I was like, do you know why he's completed more passes? Because Scott McTominay goes backwards and sideways 5 yards in front of him. That's why. Kobbie Mainoo's trying progressive passes and trying to make things happen and create opportunities. So you're going to lose the ball more. Like, stats can tell you whatever you want it to do, and you can skew it whatever way you want. But look on the eye test. Watch Kobbie Mainoo play. Tell me he's not a next generational talent. His ball control, his confidence, his calmness. He scores fantastic. I don't think he scored a shit goal for us. Every goal he scores is a fucking banger.
No, all of them are great.
and he's 18, which means he's not even touching his prime yet. Like, he's got 10 years before he
That's
hits
the
his
scary
prime.
thing, isn't it?
Imagine
He can get better.
playing. He could play 10 years of experience, and he's already this good, and he gets 10 more years of experience, and he's still only 28 at that point, and he'd be in his prime. Like, this is what people need to realize. Like, he's at the start of it, and he's already this good. Think of how good he's going to get in 10 years. Like, yeah, this kid's something special, man. He's really special.
And also, look at the team he's in. You know, the defence has been all over the place. Sometimes he's been isolated on a little island on his own. Sometimes he's had to play as a 6. You know, high pressure games. The FA Cup final was massive. The guy's from fucking Manchester.
He saved jobs. He saved games for us. Like, he's literally the Wolves game.
Yeah, prime example. Got the winner in the final. I mean, the got us back into the game at Liverpool when he scored that like Makeda-esque kind of goal. Scored the first goal against Newcastle to start us off. Like, man, I think he's top level. I don't want to push it too much, but I do. I think he's unbelievable. And I can't wait to see how he develops next season. I think if you can get a ball-winning player alongside him, someone like I always reference N'Golo Kante, for example. You need a ball winner next to him. Even a Roy Keane, for example, in the midfield, like someone to compliment him and look after him, guide him. You know, just sit behind him, guide him, and say, you know, drop back, go forward. You know, work together. I think you'll see even better and more progression from him. So I'm excited to see how he gets on at the Euros. Just the last question on the players going to the Euros. If let's say Luke Shaw goes, right, he has a really good tournament. Would that be a time to cash in? And I know that sounds like a stupid question, but you think with his injury issues that he's had, do you want to take a gamble again going into next season and have him as your starting left back? Or would you then look at that as like maybe a platform to say, okay, we'll entertain some offers, we'll listen?
I before the tournament, I was saying we should look into selling Shaw. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Luke Shaw a lot. I think he's a great player on his day. But how many days do we have of Luke Shaw at top level uninjured? Like, what was it? 60%. He's mixed 60% of the games he could have played for United since he's like horrendous leg break. And I know his legs being held together like by bolts and screws, and it fucks him up like on a day-to-day basis. Like he's in a bad way. So I feel for the guys, but like you need a fit left back, and you saw this season with Malacia out missing for most of the season. Like we didn't know what was happening with him up until like very recently. We got rid of our 2 young left backs on loan because we were promised that Malacia would be back or Shaw would be back. We got Reggie on as an emergency one, then we sent him back. It was just a mess. So it's like Luke Shaw, high profile player, England regular, very good on his day. The 2 ways you could go is like you get in a young left back who's you're gonna groom to be his replacement and he becomes your first team guy, or you sell Luke Shaw and then you get somebody in to compete with Malacia, and then those 2 sort of gun it out for whoever sort of becomes the new left back. But you could get a lot of money for him, not massive amounts, but
if you're gonna sell him, I suppose his value's only gonna plummet now. Really, if you look at his injury record and his age, that's why I'm asking the question.
35, 40 million, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. But again, it's a risk because all the teams will be looking at his injuries and they'll be like, I don't know if it's worth that. But then again, you see sometimes players, because the intensity of the Premier League and how harsh it is and how demanding it is, when they go to another league, like, I don't know, like the Saudi league, for example, or they get a bit more breaks. I remember listening to Ruben Neves about that, saying like it's much more, you have so much more time to recover and stuff, and you can just focus on your game when you're in there. So when you go to other leagues, you see like the performance levels are much better. They don't get injured as much. So it could be good for him, but I think having him spent, almost a decade at the club, if you ask him now, I think he'll be like, I want to stay for another 3-4 years, in my opinion.
Yeah. I hope maybe with like the sort of medical, not revolution, but reassessment, I'm hoping in your do. Maybe they sort of sort out with sort of player load management and all that sort of stuff and go like, okay, Shaw's close to red here. Let's back off. Let's take him out of like first team training. Like let's not drop him, but let's rest him for this game. And then he'll be available for the next 2. And you can sort of manage it that way, because we just seen last season, as soon as you had any hint of fitness, we were like, right, play him. and then he'd have to be pulled off mid-game because
Yeah.
he wasn't there. And I think that needs to be managed better, which may help him in the long run if he's going to stay at United.
Absolutely. And likewise, with other players kind of around the similar age profile, you've got your Casemiro, who's had his own injury problems as well. He's been linked with a move to Saudi Arabia. So there's interest from the Saudi Pro League. I think Romano put something out about it, saying the first step for United is Ten Hag in or out. Once that's decided, obviously, there's kind of a domino effect then in it, because then you see players who want to join, they know who the next manager is going to be. Players who want to leave, they know who the next manager is going to be. So that decision's kind of holding things off in the meantime. Apparently, for a fee, Sam, get on this. I don't know if you've seen it, between 80 and 100 million euros.
Casemiro?
For Casemiro, 80 to 100 million euros.
I don't believe that for a second.
Is it just me? When you listen to that, you're like, fucking take that money right now. If they're, I would take it. The transfer window's not even open, and I would take that right now. Email it me, post it, fucking do whatever. If you can get that amount of money for him, you fucking take that in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Yeah, like that's insane money for. How old's Casemiro?
31, I think.
31. Oh, that he's still quite young there. But like the season he's had at United, the wages that he's on. You want to rebuild that midfield, you want to rebuild that team, and somebody's offering you more money than what you paid for this guy who's on the decline anyway. Yeah, he snatched a hand off if it was true. I don't believe it for a second. I don't think there's any way.
There's no way
Saudi Arabia come in and offer that amount of money for him. Like, not
That's
a
crazy.
chance they do that.
Yeah.
Like, I know they like to flash the cash and like spend a lot of money, but even they can't be like.
Yeah,
yes,
when you're saying that for
even
that for Saudi, you're like, I'm not sure about that.
Like, I understand the 200 million on Salah because he's a top player and he scores a lot of goals and he's Muslim and he's fit into the culture and stuff like that. But like 80 to 100 million, I don't believe that for a second. Not a single chance that they come in with that amount of money. I think we'd be lucky if we got 30, 40 million for him, personally.
Yeah, I'm just looking at how much did Mane go for?
Can't remember. Wasn't much, I don't think.
Because he's similar age profile, right? I think it's 30. Yeah. So yeah, Bayern Munich winger joins Al Nassr in £24 million deal.
Yeah,
but he's on £650,000 a week.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So obviously that package side of things, but the club don't make that. That's what the club are paying the player. So 24 million, Sadio Mane, similar age profile, similar kind of profile in general in terms of what they've done in football and won, etc. So
also, Mane fell as well, didn't he? Like, he was playing top at Liverpool, went to Bayern, and then just
declined.
Didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, and you've seen a decline with Casemiro equally this season. So yeah, I mean, maybe Ed's right in the chat. He's saying Casemiro's offer must be the fee plus his wages. Yeah, probably. You never know these days.
Yeah. It can't be a flat fee of 80 to 100 million. Like, there's no way. There's no way.
No, that'd be crazy. Do you think Casemiro would want to make the move to Saudi at this point in his career? You saw Varane didn't necessarily want to go, didn't he? Because he obviously had offers from Saudi as well.
Yeah, I think Varane said in an interview the only 3 clubs he wanted to play for is Madrid. Is it Lens he comes from?
Yeah.
Yeah. And United. So he said if he retires, it'd be at United, Lens, or Madrid. So I imagine he probably goes back to Lens.
Interesting.
And ends his career there. Like, I imagine that's what happens. He's retired from international now, hasn't he? So maybe he just wants a bit of an easy coast into his last couple of years of his career. I think Varane retires a lot earlier than we all think he does.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's talked about injuries and concussions for a long time, I think. And he said he feels like when he's playing, he feels like he's in a washing machine. Like, it's really intense. So he's like, I think he might retire a lot quicker than we think he does.
Yeah.
Casemiro, yeah. His mate Ronaldo's over there. I saw there was a report from Marca that's saying he called him. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. So he's got friends out there. I bet there's loads of Brazilians out there already. I'm sure.
Yeah, you got Fabinho, you got Malcolm, Neymar.
Yeah.
So
he'd have friends out there and stuff like that. And if you're paying a shit like what is Mane on 650 a week?
Yeah.
Like, do that for 2-3 years, you're set for life, aren't you? Like,
but it's a big move, isn't it? Like, people don't consider that. They've got to take the family. They've got to move over there permanently to Saudi Arabia from England. Like, that is a big fucking move, which loads of people don't take into consideration, really, when you talk about transfers. It's like, you know what I mean?
That's why John Henderson, it didn't work, did it? Because he deal with the move and the culture and the
Yeah.
shift and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It didn't work out for him. And it's like, I don't feel sorry for him because it's his own fault. He chose to do that when he
Hmm.
was talking all this stuff like promoting LGBT rights and then went out to there. So it, I don't feel sorry for him, but that's the result. Like players go out there and think, yes, money, 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 and then realize, oh shit, I don't like living here. It's
Hmm.
the culture's too different from what I'm used to and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens to Casemiro. Saudi seems to be the one with the most noise about it, doesn't it? I've not
Yeah.
heard anything from anyone
Because
else, and I just think that's based on wages because I don't think
yeah.
anybody would pay his wages other than us.
Yeah, Saudi's almost turned into like a lucrative MLS, and it like
Yeah,
like players would go there to retire, Chiellini, Hernandez, whatever.
yeah,
It's turning into like a lucrative one of them. You look at the players that sign like Ronaldo, Mane, Neymar, like they want big names,
Benzema.
who could still technically play Benzema as well, yeah, of course, who could still play decent, but when they go to the Saudi league, they are the stars in that league. So
Yeah,
Ronaldo probably might be looking at it saying, if he comes to this team now, he'd still be able to do bits. He's still a top player,
yeah,
in that sense. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I also think what Fabregas was saying about Casemiro was interesting. He spoke about three players in particular. He said Casemiro, Sancho, and Amrabat, since joining Manchester United, have all declined, and they've all looked like completely different players. And he also said, obviously, it makes me think that something is wrong there. It's not a coincidence that three top players come in and they are not good all of a sudden. Is that just on the club? Or is that because obviously we see players come and the only really player to retain his value has been Bruno Fernandes, isn't it? So
yeah.
why do you think players just crash and burn at United when they join?
It's probably there's a lot of things going on, and there's the ownership structure which we didn't have. We didn't have a technical director, we didn't have recruitment, head of recruitment, football director, all that sort of stuff. I'm only just putting that stuff in now, and most teams have had it for the last 10, 15 years. Our stadium is a pile of shit. The training ground's out of date, like we've heard Ronaldo talk about it. Leicester City have got a better training ground than we have, and
Yeah,
they've just come up from the championship. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. We're Manchester United. Like, why have we not got the best in class in everything? The amount of money we earn, like, so that's a lot to do. Obviously our medical department is obviously under scrutiny right now because of the amount of injuries we've had.
yeah,
So I can imagine that's not helping with player performance. And buying players based on name and value rather than buying players that fit into a team and a style of play and an ethos, which is what every other team does. Liverpool buy players that fit Klopp's style and Klopp's how he's like set the team up. They don't buy players based on stat. Like they don't just go, right, Klopp, here's a guy who's 32, he's on massive wages, he doesn't really fit your style, but
yeah.
there you
Because we
go. And
couldn't
he's
get De Jong, it's
yeah, like
Casemiro,
well,
basically.
Klopp, and Klopp's like, well, you don't fit into anything how I play. He's like, well, you got to make it work, lad. So
Mm,
have at it. They don't do that to him. They go, right, here's your style. This is the style we want to go with. What sort of profile do you want? And he'll be like, I need a quick winger who's this, this, and this. And they're like, cool. And they'll go out and they're like, right, here's three options. Bang, bang, bang. Which one? And they'll go for one. We don't do that. We just get like chuck big stars at like things like Ollie. It's all with Sam Ronaldo, and he's like, well, I've got Mason Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford, and it's working. It's like, well, you
mm.
got Ronaldo now. He has to play every game, and you have to change your entire thing because he doesn't want to play with two thing. He wants to play with a pair of strikers because he don't want to run. It's just like you're just hamstringing the manager. Like, I think they don't fit into this thing. I think Amrabat's a little bit different. I think Amrabat didn't have a preseason at all with Fiorentina. He came in injured, so no preseason injuries. He was playing at left back for what 3 games, 4 games,
Mm.
which not his position, and then just didn't play basically from like December onwards. And then he came in those last 4 games and looked excellent. And I think we saw the Amrabat that we think we've all seen it for Morocco and for Fiorentina. So I think he's a little bit different. I think that's just circumstances around and training and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's the thing. But he's right. People players come to United and they basically just die, don't they? Like ability wise, they just sort of seem to fall off a cliff. The only guy who's come in and looked excellent, like you said, is Bruno and maybe Lissandro.
Yeah.
Like Lissandro, I know he's been injured this season and he got injured in the last season, but any time he comes in and he's fit, he looks fucking excellent. Like
Mm.
he looks ridiculously good. So Yeah, we need to look at something, and we need to recruit players for the style of play and for the manager's ethos and all that sort of stuff. We need to recruit based around that rather than just Casemiro's available for 70 million. All right, get him. Where's he fit? Don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we just need a
Varane's
six. Buy him. Fuck
Varane's
it.
available. All right, does he fit in with the centre back pairing we got? Don't matter. Just stick him in. It doesn't work. You need to fit in around a style of play, and hopefully that's the way we go forward under Ineos with Dan Ashworth coming in, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, all that sort of stuff.
And then effectively that becomes a problem, doesn't it? Because when you start bringing in players based off that ethos, it becomes a mixed bag of players on various different managers. So a player comes in, it's like, what system are you coming into? Because you're surrounded by different. Some players like playing transitional football. Some people want to keep hold of the ball. And also it's the pressure of playing for United, the pressure of playing in the Premier League. I think it does swallow people up sometimes, doesn't it? Like, I don't think they realise how big of a Onana, prime example, first 6 months, Jesus Christ, what he was doing in the Champions League at times was the mistakes he was making, and in the Premier League as well, he probably didn't realise. Erik Ten Hag himself didn't realise how big of a job it was. I bet when he thought, when we brought him in, and he accepted the job, he was like, this is a big job, no doubt. But what he's had to deal with, never in a million years would he expected the amount of shit.
Even Pep and Klopp have said they underestimated the Premier League when they came in.
Yeah.
They thought they'd come in and just be able to. And Pep for the first year was terrible. Like he couldn't figure it out, and he was like the intensity is too much. Pep's never played with big lads and like units of players ever in his teams, but he had to in the Premier League because of the physicality. Like he had to bring in people like Yaya Toure and stuff like that, and Vincent Kompany, because he realized he couldn't do this tiki taka stuff. Like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So he had to change. The same with Klopp. He was running players into the ground. He realized the players he's got and can't do this rock and roll style that he wants. He has to find players who can stand up to it. And they went out and spent on like Allison and Van Dijk and Robertson and all that sort of stuff and built a team. And that's where we're at right now. We've got like all these players and all these different managers, and we basically need to get rid of players and bring players in that fit whatever the style that Ineos want to go with, which I assume is going to be some sort of attacking or counter-attacking style, which because it's in United's roots, and you got to bring players in based around that, and then the manager's got to work with those players and hopefully get a more cohesive team. Because at the minute you've got Luke Shaw is from LVG, you've got Lindelof is from Jose, and you've got Maguire's from Ollie, Sancho from Ollie. Like it's a mess of a team, and then you've got Ten Hag signings on top of that. Anthony Onana, it's like, what's the common thread between any of these players? I don't see like it's one style to the other. It's just lurching from one way to the other, and you wonder why the team's dysfunctional plus injuries.
Yeah,
like it's a mess.
I think the physical component you touched on is interesting in it. I do think United need to, when profiling players this summer, I do think they need to edge more towards like get a couple of them. Like when you look at Jose Mourinho's teams, like 2005, 2008, you Mikel's, Drogba's, these kind of. I do think we need a couple of them players.
We need a Rodri.
Rodri, yeah,
that's what we need
for sure. He'd be all right, wouldn't he? I think City only spent like 40 million quid on him as well.
Exactly. You can go out get a number 6, a solid number 6 who's physical, not injury prone, and is able to just play all the time. You can get that in. I think that solves a lot of problems. I think it solves so many problems. And I think a lot of the players, you touched on the physical thing. I think attitude is another one.
Yeah.
I think we've signed so many players who've got shitty attitudes and just poor attitudes towards the game and work ethic and stuff like that. So I think that needs to be looked at. You need to interview players and be like, get to know them, find out what they're like, how they are behind the scenes, families. Like Fergie used to do all this shit. Fergie knew families' names and granddad's birthdays and all this sort of stuff. We need to get back to that and find out who these players are rather than go, what's his running stats or what's his goal ratio? Cool, sign him. It's like, do we know anything about him? Do we know what he's like seeing? Does he get up on time? Does he train well? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we need to find all this stuff out and do a proper data analytical search along with a personality and attitude as well. That needs to be combined into it.
Yeah. Fergie used to always say that, didn't he? Like, are you married? Do you have kids?
Yeah.
Like, you need to get a grounding of where these people are at. Absolutely. And make sure they're the right person as well as the right player. I'm just going to read, there's 25 years in the chat. If you can smash a like on the video, it'll be absolutely amazing. With 30 subs of 5,300. So if there's anyone currently and you haven't subscribed yet and you enjoyed the content, please do click that subscribe button. Richard Hawkins saying, to quote some at Buzzbait, if you're good enough, you're old enough. 100%. Elise is going to the Olympics. That's very interesting. So he's going to miss the start of the season if we do sign him.
Is he going to the Euros?
I don't know. To be honest, with France's talent,
I was going to say,
I would probably say no, because you got Dembele, Griezmann, and all these kind of guys.
Mbappe.
Yeah, Mbappe, you can go for Kingsley Coman. You can literally go through like a full list of them. So I probably doubt it, which is why he's going the Olympics with the under 21s, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sean saying Anthony can join his Brazilian mates out there too.
I don't even know if Saudi are that stupid to
No,
buy Anthony. I don't even think they're that stupid.
That picture that Chivy put in before, by the way, I was like, oh, what the
Disturbing.
What the fuck? Michael Hill saying, thank you, Jaden. What a blessing. You come back and have another 4 months on the sick and come back and be bang average again. Can't wait. Wow. Had so much hope for Greenwood and Sancho. Don't want any of them near the club again. Football, bloody hell, says Sean. Billy Topo says, that's been the trouble with United. Player power has ruined the team spirit and the club. Absolutely, mate. Ed Barrett saying we should get Vegas back in. He definitely wants to be here. He's cheap. He's good at link-up play, and he'd also be okay getting no service. I don't want to speak for you, Sam, but
he don't score goals. Which your number one job as a striker is to score goals, and he doesn't.
I will give Vegas his flowers for what he did at Camp Nou.
Yeah.
When he played as a 10, and he was putting in the legwork for every fucker.
He works hard.
Yeah.
His work ethic and his attitude cannot be doubted, but his ability to score goals, not so much.
Yeah. Fofana for 25 million steal for CDM. Sean, great minds think alike, mate.
Fofana or Hjumland, I'd be happy with either of those two.
Yeah.
If we get one of those two, I'd be buzzing.
I like Fofana. I think he's decent. 6 or an 8 double pivot, just not a CDM, would suit Manu well. We need a bot. If we can bring back a prime N'Golo Kante, I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But I don't know what
he got in the France squad, by the way.
Kante?
Yeah, he's in the France squad for the Euros.
Is it?
I don't know if he. I know it's like a 28-man squad at a minute, and then put it down to like thing. So maybe he gets cut out, but in a minute, he showed up.
Yeah, just looking at that there. So Mbappe, Griezmann, Giroud, Camavinga, Tchouameni, Koundé, Mendy, Maignan, Theo Hernandez, Pavard, Kolo Muani, Dembele, Kante, Saliba. I mean, the talent they've got is absolutely ridiculous.
And they've got another squad underneath that is probably just as good as well, who are not even there.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. I think we're going to see England, France, Portugal, and Germany be the main ones in this tournament, in my opinion. I think that'll probably be the semis and the final if they don't meet each other beforehand. But yeah, not too long away now. We've got 11 days actually till the Euro starts. And the transfer window opens in 11 days. And do you know what else happens in 11 days?
Is it James from the Muppets?
Yes.
Is he coming on?
Yes. So when the transfer window opens, we're going to have James on from the Muppets, and we're going to pick his brain and see what deals are going on. So again, put that in your calendar. Make a note of it in your brain, just because that'll be a good show.
We've got 30 people in chat. I'll gift some memberships out, shall I? We've got 30 odd people in there.
Go. So anyone who's in the chat in a minute, we're going to gift some memberships. So there you go. There's 5. Ed Barrett, 1 for you, sir. Shreyas, 1 for you, sir. Shrinde. Yeah. Do you want to say the last 2 names? I have no idea.
Eric's Builds. Eric's Builds, and then Bic Fitness, and then the Razor.
I'm guessing so. Big time fitness.
Congratulations. Enjoy the memberships. You'll get the ones that are already out at the minute. And then when's the next one dropping this week?
This week. Like I said at the start of the show, it's been filmed and it's currently being edited. So that's going out at some point this week. Keep an eye out for that.
Me and Nick have got an idea as well. We're going to do a youth talent identification one where we go through the youth players and sort of make our picks for who might be the next one to break through. Because obviously Kobe Manu broke through this season. Willie Kambwala to an extent as well. So we're going to look at players like Shea Lacey, Harry Amas, all that sort of stuff, and we're going to pick out who we think might be ready for the next team. So look out for that one. We'll probably film it this week and then drop it next week.
Yeah, 100%. Right, I think that's the perfect place to leave it. Of course, if any news goes live about Erik ten Hag, which it may do, keep your eyes on that with the manager situation. I think a decision is going to be made on that at some point this week. So, keep an eye on that. Turn on the notification bell so when we do go live, you don't miss us. Make sure you do that. Smash a like on the video. I don't know what I'm saying. Hit that subscribe button. Enjoy the membership. Last Stop Ahead says we messed up big time shifting Fernandez out of the club. I think he's on about Alvaro. But Thank you, everyone in the chat. You're all a bunch of legends. Appreciate every single one of you. And thank you to Sam as well. Enjoy the rest of your work / holiday / whatever you want to call it.
I plan on it. I'm going to Greg's in a minute.
Oh, Greg's.
Greg's
Love
lunch.
Greg's. Yeah, shout out Greg's. Right, see you in a bit.